Living comfortably is what most of us hope for. Others dream bigger and aim to acquire the greatest wealth. Well, looking at the richest men in the world, we know for sure that a person can be rich in billions of dollars. But the question is, how? Have you ever wondered how these people did it? What did they go through? How much knowledge did they acquire, and what habits did they embrace that helped them grow their future? The truth is, each man has his own story and his own path, which he followed to become successful. Today, we are going to share with you Larry Ellison's story and how he became a millionaire. Did I hear you ask, who is Larry Ellison? He is one of the most memorable men in tech and has been pivotal in driving forward database development over the last 30 years. Lawrence Joseph Ellison, who was born on August 17, 1944, is an American business magnate, investor, and philanthropist. He is the co-founder, chief technology officer, and executive chairman of the Oracle Foundation. As of October 2019, he was listed as the 4th richest man in America and the 6th richest man in the world. Today, he has a net worth of $86.9 billion. His mother, Florence Spellman, was only 19 when she had him, and she was an unwed Jew. His biological father was an Italian-American U.S. Army Air Corps pilot. At 9 months, Larry felt sick with pneumonia, and his mother had to take him to Chicago to live with her aunt and uncle, Lillian and Louise Ellison, who adopted the child. He did not meet with his biological mother again until he was 48, and he never met his biological father. He attended the University of Illinois in 1962, but dropped out in 1964 after his adoptive mother, Lillian, died. He described her as warm, loving, and caring. They had a close relationship, unlike his adoptive father, who was unsupportive and often told him that he would never amount to anything. He moved to California to spend the next several years as a computer programmer for various companies. Next up, now that we have an idea about who Larry Ellison is, how about we move on to the years that shaped him ahead for his future? When telling his story, he said, "I never took a computer science class in my life. I got a job working as a programmer. I was largely self-taught. I just picked up a book and started programming." After working as a computer programmer for several years, beginning in 1973, he worked at the electronics company Ampex, where he worked on a database project for the CIA, which he called Oracle. He would also meet fellow programmer Ed Oates and was supervised by Bob Miner. Ellison left Ampex in 1976 and later joined Omex, where he was vice president of research and development. It was in these years that he became influenced by Edgar F. Codd's research and the rational database design, which led to the formation of Oracle. In 1977, he founded Software Development Laboratories, SDL, with 2 partners, Oates and Miner. He wanted more for the company, and he envisioned a commercial approach which organized large amounts of data in a way that allowed for efficient storage. Soon enough, they began to develop and market the program. The company had an aggressive marketing method, which almost caused it to go bankrupt. But thankfully, with innovation, they were able to rise back up. The company's name changed from SDL to Oracle System Corporation, and later to Oracle Corporation. In his early years at Oracle, Larry Ellison was named an award recipient in the high technology category for the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year program. Up next, for those who are not aware, for much of the pre-internet 80s and 90s, Oracle was the dominant supplier of software for business systems. Ellison co-founded the company in 1977 and served as CEO and CTO till 2014. Just like Microsoft, Oracle powered payroll systems, hospital records, hotel and airline booking services, and many more. He also had the vision to create something similar to Microsoft's PC, which he called NC, Network Computer. But it did not exactly kick off right. He developed products that were compatible with World Wide Web technologies, which helped his company to grow along with its acquisitions. We know for a fact that Oracle made him the billionaire he is today. But how did that happen? Next up, Ellison and his partners knew that no one would want to splurge millions on a brand new project, so they chose not to label their first release version 1.0. He only admitted at a customer conference in 2014 that the very first version was Oracle version 2. Luckily, they landed a good-paying client as their first client, the CIA. Their product went on to become the most popular database ever sold, and it was this success that brought brought Ellison his billions. According to the Wall Street Journal, he was the highest paid executive in the United States before he stepped down as CEO in 2014. Despite the wealth he has acquired, Ellison admitted that becoming a billionaire was never his goal. He told the Smithsonian Institute in an interview, "When I started Oracle, what I wanted to do was to create an environment where I would enjoy working. That was primarily my goal. Sure, I wanted to make a living. I certainly never expected to become rich, certainly not this rich." He lives a lifestyle that he could only have dreamt of during his working-class Chicago childhood. He said to Mike Wilson, "This is all kind of surreal. I don't even believe it now. Not only did I not believe it when I was 14, but when I look around, I say this must be something out of a dream." Up next, Ellison may have been a tech businessman, but he had his eyes set out on other things, which we could call his hobbies. He is known to indulge in expensive hobbies, such as yacht racing. He bought his first sailboat at 25. He got a 34-foot-long racing sloop, a single-mast sailboat. One of his favorite things to do is sail, and he indulges it by saying, "I don't smoke, but I do sail." And according to him, he loves the idyllic independence traveling with the wind. He had to sell his boat after he became busy building his company. When he started growing his wealth and didn't need to work twice as hard, he picked up his hobby again, only this time he went big. He bought a 78-foot racing sailboat, which he named Sayonara, and he started competing in high-level races. He won 5 Maxi World Championships. Although after a horrific incident in 2008 during a boat race that led to 6 people drowning, Ellison swore not to partake in open sea races. He loved sailing so much that he now sponsors the Oracle USA sailing team, which won the America's Cup back in 2010. Next up, Ellison splurges his money on a lot of things, but his pocket never runs dry. This aspect of his life is even more interesting than his rag-to-riches story. Heads up, the man has a taste for expensive man toys, like jets and a yacht. Ellison doesn't own just one private jet. He owns several. In fact, he collects private jets as a hobby. As a licensed pilot, he owns several expensive aircraft. He owns a Gulfstream G650 private jet, which cost him $75 million. It is a 14-passenger jet registered to Wing and a Prayer Inc., which is owned by Ellison. He also owns a Bombardier Global Express 2000 and 2008, a Cessna 525 Citation, and a Bombardier Challenger. He owns at least 2 military jets and other small aircraft that aren't registered. The man loves a good yacht. There's no way he won't spend a fortune on them. He once owned the Rising Sun, a 453-feet-long yacht that was the 12th largest yacht in the world. He sold the Rising Sun to David Geffen before going for the Musashi, a 288-foot yacht that is the 79th longest in the world. His numerous humble abodes were all purchased to suit his taste. Ellison owns many houses all over the world. His most notable houses are his Japanese-themed estates in Woodside, San Francisco, Malibu, and Rancho Mirage in California, which includes a private golf course called Porcupine Creek. The homes range from $48 million to about $400 million. Like the yachts, jets, and houses weren't enough, the man got himself an island. A whole island. He purchased 98% of Lanai, a Hawaiian island, for $42.9 million. His goal is to turn the island into an eco-friendly experiment by building out resorts and improving its sustainable farms. It is quite unbelievable that someone could buy an island for just an experiment. I mean, what happened to labs? Did they run out of style or something? Ellison is also a generous man. Among his many qualifications, it is also listed that he is a philanthropist. He donates to charity through the Ellison Foundation. He has also donated more than $100 million to the University of Southern California to establish a research center for cancer treatment and prevention. His adoptive mother passed away from cancer. Up next, Ellison has been married and divorced 4 times. His first marriage was with Ada Quinn from 1967 to 74. In the year Oracle was founded, he married Nancy Wheeler Jenkins, and they got divorced in 1978. Interesting fact, Wheeler gave up any claim for his company for $500. In 1983, he married Barbara Booth, and although the marriage lasted for only 3 years, they had 2 children from it. David and Megan are film producers. In 2003, he married a romance novelist, Melanie Kraft, and his friend Steve Jobs, CEO of Apple Inc., was the photographer at their wedding. They got divorced in 2010. Since then, Ellison hasn't settled with any other woman. That is a wrap for today's video. Thank you for watching. Make sure you stick around for more exciting content on this channel.